So they're probably doing a good job with the AC there. And that's the cool thing about China as well. You play in an offline stage with viewers in the venue. Of course, every team has their own booth. So you have the most competitive atmosphere you could possibly hope for.
Exactly, and even at the ones without the broadcasts, even without the players actually at the thing, like for example when we did the Nexus games, the amount of production equipment and big studio lights, etc., can warm up a studio like that very quickly. So we're used to very warm temperatures when it comes to casting. Now we're at our own places. We're comfortable. Well, yeah, you're probably comfortable. I'm a bit nippy, but it's all good.
Oh, I'm super comfortable. And if I didn't feel warm already, I would feel hot after those games for HGC China. Because I just got to repeat myself here. It's without a doubt the most explosive region. I'm not saying it's the best region in the world by any means, but it is the most reckless and explosive regions with, you know, average games going for 20 plus takedowns. So pretty sure the viewers out there are enjoying it as well, because it's such a different take from the other major regions that we see in HGC.
It is certainly chaotic. We have seen that style not work so well against the more controlled style of some of the Western regions, but we've also seen it work spectacularly well when utilized by a team like E-Star from back in the day, and from CE a little bit more at the Gold Club World Championships. They're getting better and better and better. It's very cool to see.
Yeah, it's really cool to see indeed. And now we see the Gengu being out of the equation once again. And I mean, if you have a player like Melody C on the enemy team who is a dreaded Genji player, it doesn't surprise me that much. But look at that, already paying a little bit of respect to Justia's Dehaka. It looks like SPT isn't really keen on facing globals, and I can't blame them because, Tetcher, it is Sky Temple after all.
Yeah, very true. Like you said, Justia seems to be very, very keen on this Dehaka in general, and on this map. The soak potential, the D-push potential, of course the rotation potential from a Dehaka is insane. So the potential priority could be maybe put onto the Falstad from Sunny Lion.
Definitely true. Hanzo is open once again. Sunny Lion with that first pick could snatch him away, but it didn't really do them too much in the previous game.
So in terms of globals, they would have Falstad and ETC as immediate ones. Or, once again, they would have to put priority on Hanzo, remembering exactly what happened in the last game.
Yeah, if I were a Hanzo, or if I were the Hanzo player on the side of Sunny Lion right now, I would probably lock it in with a shivering finger, because I would probably feel very nervous about that.
Maybe like first pick Uther, and just maybe pick Hanzo afterwards, but the fact is, then SPT could steal it.
Very true, and I gotta highlight ZZH once again, the support player by SPT. He put on a spectacular show on both Rhaegar and Lucio yesterday, and I think he continues to impress with good cleanses, clutch rotations, and he basically was doing everything he needed to do at the right time. He was doing mercenary camps as Rhaegar, which is exactly what he can do, even without Lightning Bond. So ZZH continues to be my personal star player on the side of SPT.
Okay, so we have the Hanzo returning once again. I expect to see maybe something with Cleanse this time. As a reaction, Tyrael and Amatha. Insta-locked coming in from SPT.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have to highlight something immediately here with the Archangel of Justice being deployed. Unlike the other regions, since it's a new week and HGC China being a little bit different than everyone else, we're playing on the live patch here with only Blaze being disabled. That means we're going to have the new Tyrael available with all those good rework changes that came to him. And so far, this Tyrael is sitting on a 2-0 win ratio, performing admirably well yesterday, Tetra.
Yeah, and it's Sonya stolen away by Sunny Lion, tried to remove the tools that would blow up a Hanzo again. The problem is, they're already there. SPT, they have the potential for a judgment. They can just pick a Greymane and double it up with Amatha for the burst follow-up. They don't even need Falstad here. They already have basically every tool they need to ruin Hanzo's day. Luckily for Sunny Lion, this Uther could be the more effective counter than we saw the Stukov be in the last game.
And we have seen what Tyrael Falstad could do to squishy heroes on the backline on HGC Korea, with Tempest absolutely demolishing their opponents. And we haven't seen Judgment Tyrael in China up to this point. Every time we saw him, it was Sanctification that was prioritized. But, as you said, with that aggressive playstyle by SPT that we've seen in Game 1 as well against the Hanzo, I think it's definitely in the realm of possibilities here.
Yeah, we actually I did put the one incredible Tyrael play we saw from yesterday up on Reddit. It was it was a very cool play, and people seem to enjoy it very much. So if any of you are joining because of that, welcome. But either way, you should be sticking around because the Chinese games are spectacular.
They really are. Now, what could Sunny Lion come up with here as a ban? I mean, to be honest, banning a false set is not the most unheard of thing here in this situation. Because if you really want to make sure that your backline survives, you could go for that. You also ban away a Global and Sky Temple. But the Illidan now being preemptively banned because, let's face it, Tyrael has been traditionally a really good pick to be paired off with Abathur. Even 5-year-olds starting the game for the first time would probably know that by now. But also with Tyrael, especially now with new talents like Justice for All that gives even more shielding to Illidan when he's nearby and the Sanctification, he could really wreak havoc in the enemy team's lines.
Interesting of putting of believing that Illidan would be run into a Sonya Uther though. That is quite a brave and audacious pick SPT would have had to make there. Yeah, Hanzo's potentially vulnerable. But depending on what supports you pick, with Arthas banned out, I expect this is what they were afraid of.
Yeah,
but that can still be a Grey Main. I would still prefer the Grey Main as the ban. It's much of a safer pick.
Yeah, it's really safe, as you said, but it's also great at dealing with those mercenary camps. And let's not forget about the Grey Main copy value that you can have in those teamfights.
I am curious. There's Thrall and Lucio coming in here.
Okay. China being China here. I like it. I mean,
cool.
I think we've seen a Thrall come out by Leftovers in Europe.
I think so.
And
Jada on Jada.
Okay, Jaina and Jaina, indeed. And you know what? I like this Jaina pick here, because normally you can keep those less mobile melee assassins like a Thrall under control with your permanent frost abilities quite well. However, let's talk about this Thrall a little bit more. He is a potential target for Abathur to head on and maybe even copy, but a Thrall copy is not what we're used to seeing for the most part, are we?
No, we don't see we haven't seen Thrall copies since I don't know, like early 2016?
Yeah.
I think maybe late 2016, but it's a really interesting and strange pick, especially with Lucio. Again, Thrall is usually someone with a bit of a burst healer because he already has his own really sustained healing. But with the amount of crowd control on the side of Sunny Lion and no cleanse for this Thrall, they bring in a Grey Main as well. Now there are threats. There's Thrall who's a threat. There's Grey Main who's a threat. Everyone on the team is a hat target except for kinda Lucio. Although I do like the idea of an Adrenal Overload Lucio. So that seems like it could be fun because he likes to turn it up. But there's a very frontline heavy team against an ETC and Sonya. That could backfire hugely if SPT don't play this really well.
Definitely true. You brought up a great point. SPT's team composition consists of mainly melee assassins and frontliners, as you said. But there's also another hero that hugely benefits from this kind of team composition. It is Sonya. Her spin is going to give her much more self-healing when there's melee targets around her clumped up together. Also keep in mind, with the exception of maybe a Tyrael Judgment or a Thrall Sundering, there are no interrupts for that spinning. So I'm really curious to see how SPT is going to play that pretty much off-meta team composition. I really hope they didn't get too cocky here.
Yeah, there's the Lucio boop.
It only knocks her back, though.
It still interrupts Mosh Pit, right?
It interrupts Mosh Pit, that's true, but it doesn't interrupt the Sonya.
Right? Yeah. So, burden of execution is what Dread always says, very much on SPT here. Whereas the Sunny Lion, I'm very happy to say, they have the Hero League style comp of, this looks good, let's go.
So, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at this very exciting match draft-wise. On the left-hand side, we see SPT marching out of the Hall of the Storms in the blue trunks with Zhen Zhao on that Grey Main. Melody C is playing the Abathur, Misaka on that Tyrael. So plays Thrall and ZZH on that Lucio.
Whereas on the right-hand side, it is our newcomers, eventually, in the form of Sunny Lion. And playing for them, we have Pao, once again, back on his Uther, Jada on Jada, Phoebe D on Hanzo, C on ETC, and Eustia is bringing out the Sonya.
Now, I want to talk about that Thrall here, not just because the hero is so exotic, but also pretty cool to watch, no doubt. Soap plays Thrall. I can't remember the last time I've seen Soap, who's a tank player by trade, play a melee assassin.
He is the melee flex. Like, the way it works, he plays anything that is sort of melee flex in general, and Melody C really plays anything that's ranged flex. Is how they show it off a lot of the time. But it's the situation of they don't really have the chance back in the day because everything was double support all the time. So he never really got the opportunity as well. He was usually on the second tank or something like that.
Tetcher, I wanna mention something real quick here. Are we in for a Divine Storm against the team comp that SPT has?
I wouldn't hate it. It would definitely be a potential interrupt if they were able to be quick enough to block Sank with it. That could be a potentially game-changing move here. We do see him starting off with a Q build, the Silver Touch, coming in from the Uther.
Yeah, definitely true. And we're also going to pay very close attention to the Tyrael build. After all, it is the rework, which we haven't really seen of too much. And already we can see a rather unusual talent pick here that we haven't seen yesterday.
Yeah, completely new talent here that I don't... Once again, Tyrael's rework was days ago, so we might get something that's wrong, but this one is definitely Salvation. I do know that one, which increases Tyrael's self-shield amount. Now, and also heals him if his shield is destroyed. This could lead to a potential judgment, which is very interesting, because that if Tyrael's going into the backline, he wants to not immediately explode. Well, I mean, he does, but only after he dies.
And I think this talent makes a lot of sense if you are the main warrior and there's no other tank nearby. And also keep in mind that with the choice of Abathur here, you're always going to have one less body to shield with, in the first place. So Justice for All maybe wouldn't have gotten the full value it could have gotten if there hadn't been an Abathur.
Abathur with the Mine build here coming in, so not going for a full Symbiote build, so that's very interesting to see. So this is very likely going to be a combination very much based on the copies that Abathur is able to provide. So we'll keep an eye on that, see how well he can do. Stalwart Angel for the Tyrael, getting once again that armor. So yeah, very tanky here.
Very nice. Also, so far, we have seen that the teachings of Timeless have spread, and we see a full quest Thrall build up to this point by Soap here, going for the Frost Wolf pack at level 4. This is a tricky one. You need to land your Feral Spirit on enemy heroes consecutively, and if you miss or if you die, you lose all of your stacks. But if you complete it, the cooldown and the mana costs are greatly reduced.
And the level 1 talent isn't the easiest to stack either. Those Echo of the Elements, where he has to kill a minion or hero within 1.5 seconds of hitting them with his Chain Lightning, which really requires him to go very uncontested in lane, which, to be fair, he kind of has been. So he's going to have got at least a couple stacks here. And also, very much worth mentioning, Hanzo with a full Scatter Arrow build, going for a quest of his own.
Yeah, definitely true. And look at the pressure Sunny Lion has been able to establish in that top lane with the help of the Night Camp. They completely ignore any skirmishes early on. All they want is structural value. And so far, especially with the help of the top temple, they're definitely getting lots of it. But the same can be said about SPT. Abathur is so good when it comes to soaking multiple lanes. His body is in the bottom. He can still take care of the middle with a symbiote as well. And already, I think, looking at the global XP, SPT is doing a fantastic job.
So very interesting to see here. Like I said, with the XP, they are doing well. There's a Mule by Abathur, not going for the full Mine build. Actually, I don't think there is a... Yeah, there is a Mine title at that level. I'm being silly. But we do see Jaina being very trusting for her team. Against a very frontline heavy composition, she still goes for the Machine Gun Jaina build. Doesn't go for the Frost Armor or anything like that, which could protect her. She is relying on the Uther, the ETC, and the Sonya to keep her alive.
And to be honest, I think it's a good thing to do. Like, you will gain access to Ice Block later on during the game. If there's not a lot of skirmishing involved early on, you actually take significantly longer. And with the absence of another body to hit because of Abathur, it wouldn't surprise me if we saw the Ice Block come down between 13 and 16 for Jaina here in this game. Whereas in other games that are going really well, on Tomb, for example, where there's a lot of rotations and brawling, oftentimes you will have Ice Block ready at 10.
We will indeed have to see. Thrall finally deviating from the Church of Timeless and going for a little bit of a going for follow through. He finishes his Echoes of the Elements though. Greymane rolls through, shield from the Abathur keeps him alive. But yeah, finally we see follow through coming in for Thrall, giving him a little bit of additional burst damage.
Yeah, I only noticed the other day that follow-through now has a sound effect whenever it gets triggered, so that's pretty cool. So oftentimes you will hear like ping, ping if you really chain your abilities nicely together.
It's really cool. Like similar to the quest sound, or is it a different sound?
Yeah,
I have not noticed
it's very similar. It's very similar, like a high frequency pitch sound.
Cool. I will listen out for that because I was not aware of that actually. So very cool to see. The only time I played a hero with follow through was Artanis, and I didn't pick follow through because I wanted the slowing swaps. So we do see a hand of protection coming in from Uther. ZZH Excellamando off the wall to escape there. Now Jaina is under duress here. Hand of protection not enough to keep her alive, but Jen Xiao getting turned on here, tries to escape, but C is in position to pick up another kill. Soap will escape though.
Yeah, Soap will escape for now. It would actually interest me if he's fully stacked on his Frostwolf. There we go. No, only 3 stacks out of 7, I think. So he's going to take a little while. But we see the Sundering go down here. Level 10 has arrived for SPT. To no surprise, we see Sanctification, because if you have this infamous Death Ball composition, nothing protects them better than a well-placed and well-timed Sanctification.
Very true indeed, and also boss fighting potential is such a big deal here. Level 10 is also available for Sunny Lion. We once again see that Dragon Arrow, the Mosh Pit as well, and the return of the Water Elemental, the go-to talent for HGC China for Jaina here.
Now, this could be the one time where I'm not really too happy about the Water Elemental. I think against the team comp that SPT has, a Ring of Frost could be devastating. Of course, there is a little bit of misplay potential here because of Sanctification.
We will have to see. We have seen that an unfortunate amount of times. Anytime there are 2 saving abilities, if the teams do miscommunicate even a little, you can whiff so many abilities and lose so much value.
Definitely true. Now, in the meantime, we see Melody C's copy on the Grey Mane, dealing a lot of damage and also keeping Sunny Lion at bay. Usually the way you do it, especially the pro scene, is you wait for the copy to expire if you're not 100% confident in your team fighting capabilities, and then try to seek for an engage while it is on cooldown.
That's exactly what we saw from Sunny Lion there. They moved out of base the second the copy was gone, looking for someone to kill, but guess what? No one from SPT is available. They went right up to their own Merc camp, and Abatha setting up a mine-based wall to separate any kind of raid.
The thing is, I don't necessarily hate the passive defensive playstyle by Sunny Lion, but when you play on Sky Temple and you're falling behind early on, which is currently the case for Sunny Lion, you have to go for the aggression at some point, because the enemy team, oh, never mind that, Sundering Engage is good.
Speaking of aggression, but it's against Sunny Lion here. Luckily, that spell shield from the Merc camp keeps Yusia alive here. He will be able to port back, but look at this, the cheeky play. The only person who might get here in time is Lucio. One-man crew. No way he's taking the risk. He moves away as the boss is snuck away by Sunny Lion.
Hanzo, by the way. I mean, you go for that PvE damage at 4, you go for the cooldown reduction at 7, and you're going to be in for one hell of a quickie against that boss. And they just took it so fast, SPT, who were fully aware of it, couldn't even rotate in time.
Dragon Arrow was dropped there, only hit ZZH, and C was not able to get in range for the follow-up in time. Now Sunny Lion joining up with this boss a little bit, but they're a bit too scared to fight. Sonya's a little bit further away. Abatha could join at any moment, and 13 is a bit too close for SPT.
Yeah, definitely true. But back to the point I was trying to make earlier, if you're falling behind significantly on Sky Temple, you basically have to be the aggressor at some point, because otherwise the enemy team can just always trade temples and they will always maintain that solid lead that they've established themselves earlier. So as much as I like Sunny Lion not committing to any reckless risks, they will have to pull the trigger at some point.
We will have to see as Holy Ground is taken. Terrio wishing he'd had that earlier and been in position, but Lucio, like we said, the only person to arrive by that boss in time, and he did not have the guts to go in 1 versus 4. For good reason, to be fair, as we do see a Spell Shield coming in for Thrall against Jaina and a full Scatter Arrow Hanzo. Very suitable build.
Yeah, definitely true. Spell Shield, of course, is such a good ability if you time it manually. Most players will actually have it on by default because it's such... You know, it's much easier to basically have it this way, but pro players will always trigger it manually if possible, because you can really time it well, especially against a low or high cooldown mage like Jaina, I should say.
Exactly, you can see there, no Spell Shield proc, and if that had been procced by just a single Scatter Arrow scatter, that would have been a very upsetting thing for Soap to have lost it to such a small ability here. So, very cool to see that he is activating it manually.
And Tyrael, of course, thanks to the rework that we're playing on here, has access to Holy Ground at level 13. You will see those angelic zones that nobody can trespass from the enemy team. Really, really nice to save, of course, people in choke points, to deny the enemies a retreat.
Oh, poor Mule. It tried. It tried.
There are not many of you left, dear mules. Only Abathur still has it, but yeah, poor little fella. I'm pretty sure it's only Abathur who has it left.
At times, and yet it's still Terran themed. How
the irony! He's a traitor!
Hashtag bring back the mule blizz. As we do see Sunny Lion moving it in. I'm going to get hate for that in the chat. As we do see Sunny Lion moving up. Here comes into the backline. Misaka being a distraction. The Holy Ground not actually blocking too much. The Clone of Graven moving in. Sundering splits the team with the Divine Shield used on Sonya. Immediate split by SPT, preventing any whirlwind value here.
Yeah, you gotta respect the patience here, and of course the discipline that SPT showed in that team fight. The immediate disengage by Sundering to block off any value from Hanzo's Dragon's Era is really cool to see. Sanctification is still there. That is the most important one, followed by the second most important heroic ability, the Sound Barrier. So while we have long cooldowns now for Sunny Lion, SPT could go for another cheeky engage and use their heroics.
However, the longest and most important cooldown for Sunny Lion is still available. The Mosh Pit is still up. It only takes one. Wow. It only takes one misplay to lose one of your main assassins like that.
No way. And Sonya, she is now caught in that horseshoe in the top temple, and I'm not sure if she's going to get away, Tetcher.
Well, at least they don't have too much crowd control, but it's not enough. Sonya gets pinned in by 4 heroes and taken out.
Taken out here. The level 16 talent by Thrall Alpha will definitely help when it comes to shredding those high HP targets. Once the Pharaoh Spirit lands, there's going to be 3% of the target's maximum health is damaged. And if you complete the level 4 talent, which I'm not sure Soap has done successfully, you have a lower cooldown on that, and you can cast it more frequently as a result. Kind of cool to see the synergy between the talents here.
Indeed, it is so. We see Jada back from the dead, beginning to poke in, trying to do any kind of clearing, as that keep is so far undamaged, but that is about to change very quickly.
Yeah, they're relentlessly marching forward here. SPT, that is ETC, with a mosh pit.
He got him. Oh, the Dragon Arrow interrupts the sanctification! They turn it round and shred through the team here. Here comes the Sundering to try and escape, but SPT get demolished, and the keep survives. Hanzo, MVP there.
Definitely true, Tetcher. This was picture book perfect play by Sunny Lion here, using the Hanzo era to interrupt what could have been the only saving grace for SPT, the Sanctification. And now, of course, it is their time to shine. They need to capitalize immediately on that victory, and they're going for the highest priority target here, the boss. But here we see another instance of that team fight.
Beautiful positioning, but not happening. Oh. That big AoE stun on the Hanzo, hitting Lucio, spreading it to the Tyrael, and they pick up so many kills there. And thanks to that Hanzo clear speed, they also now have a boss. They're on even talents, very nearly even levels. Sunny Lion could try to make a play with this boss.
They can definitely try to make a play, and they should. Now, I don't really understand why they're putting so much effort into this mid lane. I think they should have forced the issue a little bit more. But all of the heroic abilities bar the ETC mosh pit already. I think they could have definitely tried to do more.
I think they are are they only willing to fight with Mosh? That would be a risky play. It looks like they're going to move up to the temple. Misaka decides now would be a very good time to leave, but he snuck enough temple shots to actually kill off that top keep. Very nicely done.
And that was so smart as well, because with the previous engage, while they didn't get the keep in the first place, they still delivered tons of damage onto it. So Soap on the Misaka on the Tyrael, he realized, you know what, a couple of those shots, and we're going to say goodbye to that top keep. So although Sunny Lion managed to get a nice win in that previous team fight, it is SPT who comes out ahead in terms of structures. Pretty cool to see.
Very cool to see indeed. Shots are now being taken by Sunny Lion. This will begin a very solid amount of work onto that top keep. You can see it will take some damage. So SPT, looks like they are going to try and counter here by stealing the easy count, but they're really running low on time. And here's the issue. Here's what happens when you don't force against this kind of comp. Abatha repairs all the damage you just did.
Yeah, maybe that's the reason why they were a little bit anxious to push with the boss in the first place, because they were like, we're probably not going to get the keep, and even if we deal like 50% of damage to it, the mule is still going to repair it up, so let's try to go for safe objectives. But I still would have preferred Sunny Lion to go on a little bit of a risk here, but let's see how it turns out for them. Both teams now shuffling around the map. Bottom is being pressured here by that Siege Giant camp. Sunny Lion tries to clear it. But once again, this is such a good position for SPT to be in right now. All they need to do is wait for the next temple phase. And already we can see it on the minimap. It's going to be 2 temples. One in the middle, one in the bottom. So as long as SPT shares temples, they're probably going to get another keep.
Quite possibly. They are putting on quite the strong performance here. SPT in control of the map as we speak. But Sunny Lion looking to try and turn that around for their side. Thrall trying to scout with his dog, but not able to find anything.
Oh my goodness, too bad.
Yeah.
Thrall is still not stacked on that level 4. Feels timeless, man.
We do actually see, by the way, piercing arrows for Hanzo. A little bit of a potentially rarer talent here. We would normally see a Giant Slayer or something along those lines, but with Tyrael being the only tank, piercing arrows is going to get some very nice value.
Yeah, definitely true. And we see the Heroic Reforging coming in for 16 on Tyrael, and it is by far the most picked talent from what I've seen in competitive and Hero League so far. It is so good. It synergizes really well with your level 4 and your level 13, the Holy Ground, of course, giving you a cooldown reduction for every basic attack.
Exactly. So it's interesting to see the ability to spam on the boss, but getting 0 value, for example. He needs to find these choke points, but the fact is, they always fight to the open SPT so far this game.
Now we see Sunny Lion going in for an aggressive Merc steal here. The temples have been activated, and it is now time for Sunny Lion to make a move. How is SPT going to play? Up to this point, they're trying to kite, keeping them busy all the time, especially with mobile heroes like Tyrael and Lucio. You can really play cat and mouse, and here we go. The core attempt is here, Tetcher.
Where's the sound barrier? The 2-man delay!
No way!
3 members
no way!
The core of Sunny Lion. Misaka does go down here. ZZH trying
to... They did it! They did it!
That's GG! The cheeky double Greymane Shades of 2016 coming in. And SPT take game number 2.
SPT was like, okay, you know what? We won a game by team fighting in game 1. Let's just try to do it a little bit more differently. We want to go home, have some pizza. It's been a little bit late here in the venue. We had to play 2 games today. So they just refused to team fight against Sunny Lion, who had arguably the better team fighting composition. So they just out-rotated. They outsmarted them by sending Thrall, Greymane, and the copy to hammer on the core, while high mobility heroes like Lucio and Tyrael played cat and mouse with the Sunny Lions.
The 2-man delay. What a play. And the fact is, Tyrael's still at